everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the Bootleg Famicom Blowout. Today we're just going over a few of the finer details of these games. This isn't going to be a review by any means, but just want to sort of go into more detail about this stuff, address some problems I've run into, and just sort of talk a little bit more in depth about the games we got last time. So, but to start things off, I actually want to talk about something that's totally unrelated to any of that, and that is this cool little box here. And I just want to sort of vent a little bit of a frustration, but also talk about how this is kind of cool. This is a box for my my JY28 cartridge, Super Mario World. You all know how I feel about this game. I needed to get a box for it, so I got a box for the Super Famicom version, since the box art's pretty similar, and then I have been storing it in that because clamshells for Super Nintendo, Super Famicom games are really easy to come by. But clamshells for Famicom is almost impossible. I cannot really find any for the Famicom, at least in large quantities. I would like to get boxes for all of my games eventually, but that's been kind of an issue. So for now, this is sort of the solution I'm going with, at least for this game, and it works pretty nice. It fits the game pretty well. That being said, let's get into the actual meat of talking about what we got last time, and you'll see some gameplay footage here and everything. So yeah, let's get right into it. We'll start with the thing that I was, I don't know, least enthusiastic about. I don't know exactly if I'd call it that actually, because I'm pretty excited about everything, but fighting games. I'm not huge into the Famicom fighting games, but there's some interesting stuff going on here. For example, we have Mario Fighter 3. This is this and these two, Super Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 3 regular, all appear to be based on the same engine from what I can tell. Like nearly identical, just slightly different characters and different attributes to the games. Like one of these is super difficult, like ridiculous. You lose health like by half a bar every time you get hit. If I recall, I think it's this one, Super Fighter 4, is like ridiculously difficult and broken. But yeah, Mario Fighter 3 might be the most interesting one, just because they sort of stole the Mario USA artwork here and like put Astro Boy's head over Mario, and then you got the Street Fighter characters over here. I do like the Mario Fighter logo. That does look pretty nice. I also wanted to take a chance, we'll take the time to read the back of the cartridge and also sort of point out the unique things about it. So like I said in that first video, the backs to this game is actually really unique. I hadn't seen one up close like this until I got this lot, and I ended up with a few cartridges with similar backing designs. The interesting thing about the Mario Fighter game is that it actually has a little bit of extra information down here at the bottom. I just wanted to take a moment to read the back. It says, "The unique manufacturer adopting high-class IC and processed by not oxidized gold plate on the apparatus to protect your IPU." It says protect twice. Yeah, interesting. I really, I don't know, I kind of dig this. It's pretty high quality, honestly. It's pretty hefty, and I like the back cartridge label, so it's nice. As a game, it is not the best. I will talk about that more in my fighting games review, but it is sort of amusing, the Mario elements they tried to infuse in here. It's definitely not Kart Fighter level, I'd say, but yeah. These other two, not too much to say on any of those fronts. These are essentially the exact same games, just one is a little bit more broken in terms of balancing than the other. Then we have Street Fighter 3 Turbo 56 Peoples. This was actually better than I would have guessed. I believe this is a Hummer Team developed game. Good old Hummer Team. Mario is also in this game, believe it or not. It's really strange. But like the color palettes on this are incredible. I was really surprised. After those last 3 games, I really thought this would just be, you know, the same thing, only faster, but it seems to be a completely new, or mostly new version of the Street Fighter type game for Famicom, so actually pretty interesting. We'll definitely have to talk about that one more. Then lastly here we got Super Mortal Kombat 2. I believe this is another Hummer Team developed game, which is always nice to see, but I'm not really sure. It doesn't say Super Mortal Kombat 2 on the title screen. The Super here is, I think, only mentioned on the cartridge. But if this is a unique version, then I don't know where it really originated from, but this might be the best one I played. I'm not entirely sure. I will have to, you know, dig a little bit deeper, but this one was actually pretty good. I give this one a mostly passing grade, at least in comparison to other fighting games. When it comes right down to it, all Famicom fighting games need to be sort of taken with a certain amount of perspective, because I don't think the console was really made for that. There are some notable examples, like you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighter and Joy Mecha Fight, I believe is another one. That's a Nintendo-developed fighting game. But yeah, so you got to have some perspective here. And overall, I am pretty impressed with what they attempted to do. Moving on, we looked at our fighting games. Now let's take a look at our Mario games. So for starters, we have this 4-in-1. This is the nicer feeling of the two 4-in-1s. And actually, at this point, I'd like to sort of ask everybody a question. Quite a few of my games. Is there an example over here? Yeah, here's one, and this one. Yeah. And I think this is on Aladdin and a Magic Jewelry as well. If you look up there in that like corner, this symbol is like on everything. I don't even know if you can call it a symbol. It's just like a design choice. Is there like a cartridge manufacturer, like for the plastic cases or something that this is related to? I don't know. It's just something I've noticed now somewhat recently and have been kind of interested in. But yeah, so we have this 4-in-1 Mario game. It includes Mario's 10, which is Kung Fu Mario, Mario 11, which I believe is an Adventure Island game, Mario 14 is... I know what game it is, I don't know the original name. It's like you're kind of a ninja type character. It's a weirder one because when they did the graphics hack, they didn't do it perfectly, so the original character sprite pops in and out depending on the actions you're doing. And then Mario Game, the mysterious Mario game as it's listed here. That's actually Mario is Missing, which I enjoy way more than I ever should. And so it's nice to have that on the Famicom, because that was actually a North American exclusive, I believe. Maybe it was released in PAL regions too, I'm not completely sure. Then we have this cheapo cartridge. You can, if you actually look, you can see the entirety of the PCB right there. A little glob top. This has Mario 10 again, which is actually a really good game, by the way. I should say that I believe it's based on Jackie Chan Adventures. I was very impressed with that one. Mario 6, which is the infamous Tiny Toons Mario game, and it fits better than you'd expect, at least until, you know, the non-Mario characters show up, and then it's kind of gives it away. But the gameplay itself is very reminiscent of Mario 3. Mario 9 is another Adventure Island game. I've always loved Adventure Island. And then Mario 16 is the infamous one that was on Russian television with Dendy the New Reality. The hack of Joe and Mac that they were trying to pass off as the original game that sort of spawned that Joe and Mac game later on. So that's interesting. I'm kind of getting into that one. I've played this cartridge a lot more than I would expect. And it's fun to have these, like, Mario-centric 4-in-1s. It seems kind of difficult to come across multi-carts that have good focus. And not too much overlap. I think the only one is Mario 10, right? So I'd say overall a positive. Next up we have the infamous Sumari, or Somari, rather. I've really gained a greater appreciation for this game having played it on actual hardware now. Something about it just starting to click. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just overcome some sort of hurdle, but I'm getting to gain a lot of speed in it. And I'm just becoming really impressed by the effort that Hummer put towards this, more so than I already was. I do think there's like a sort of, it's an acquired taste sort of thing, though, because I actually tried all these games out with Tom when I got them, and he tried to play some Somari. He was really excited, and then he thought it was absolute garbage, and I'm like, what? How can you think that? But now that I think back on it, it is a bit of an acquired taste. But I do think that there's a real sort of amazing thing going on here, and I think Hummer made a commendable effort for trying to port Sonic to the Famicom. Definitely one that I'll be doing another video about in the future, because I want to talk about it more. So, yes, that is definitely one to return to. How about this cartridge? The weird Toito release of Super Mario Bros. Instantly, I didn't really think anything was going on here. Oh, it's got a weird back, too. I should probably show that off. I don't know what's going on here. I have seen some similar cartridges with different letters on the back instead of ST. It's like PP and stuff. I don't know. Kind of weird. But as you can see here, there appears to be two names, and I think that's because this is sort of a multi-cart. I don't even know how to describe something like this. This is very interesting. You turn it on, and it just seems to be a title hack of Super Mario Bros. Called Super Kid. If you hit the reset button, though, it actually goes into a hacked version of Super Mario Bros. I believe is often referred to as Dream Mary. This is a very bizarre version, very sort of trippy version of Super Mario Bros. Where the area in front of you scrolls in behind you. It's hard to explain, so you'll just have to see the footage for it. But sort of a neat little thing that was hiding away on this cartridge by hitting the reset button. At first I thought it was just a glitch, but nope, it seems to happen every single time you reset the game, so either I'm just getting very lucky, or or there is actually a second version of Mario on here. Don't know if it's a separate ROM or if it's like a Game Genie type thing. I know you can achieve that effect using a Game Genie. And finally, we have Super Wonderful Mario, which was one I was super excited for, because this game can be all sorts of interesting stuff, and it's also got that amazing snake design that I like so much. As it turns out, this is simply a title screen and like very minor script hack of Super Mario Bros. 2 / USA, the one that we're all familiar with. Oh, and the music's sped up too, which is kind of interesting. Aside from that, yeah, it's not the famous Super Brothers 8 that I was hoping it was, but overall I'm very happy to have it, and it's this is one of the first bootleg cartridge I ever saw, albeit for the NES instead of the Famicom. So it's cool to have it, and I'll definitely be messing around with it. We'll talk about it in sub capacity in the future. That's something I should mention too, is I'm kind of interested in doing a every Mario numbered hack type thing. Like the history of bootleg Mario to some degree. I know Kinemania did that sort of thing already, but I'd like to take it just a little bit farther, and I'm kind of interested in knowing what the canonical numbered Mario games are. I'm pretty sure it goes up to at least 17 in terms of bootlegs, and I would like to know if there are more I should keep my eyes out for, so we can eventually do that video. So, just a little thing to keep in mind. Next up, we have the famous anime girl Link to the Past. Here it is. It is just the same game, as far as I can tell, from the one I already had. Just to remind you guys, this one. Still no complete determination on what this is. I did hear from someone in the comment section that this might be from the cover project. I looked on their website, and sure enough, the design for their boxes is very similar, but I can't confirm where this design came from. I have no idea. And as for the cartridge, I'm still rather confused. I'm pretty sure this is official Wising, but I don't know. This is certainly the one that everyone is more familiar with, and so it's fun to have it. I was kind of hoping that this and the other Link to the Past I got would actually feature that original beta title screen that we saw. Just to remind you guys, I'm talking about this one here. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case on this one or the other one, but they are cool to have anyway. I'm actually thinking about doing a speedrun. Me and Tom have been formulating some speedrun tactics for it, and there's some interesting stuff you can do, so be on the lookout for that too. Here's Fenyan Dao, more or less. The game is the same, but there's something interesting going on with this cartridge that I'll come back to when we get into the sad portion of this video. And here's the Link to the Past one that is just really nice. Really nice box. A beautiful cartridge. Okay, it doesn't want to come out. I'm not going to mess with it, but a beautiful cartridge. I just love this box. Like I said, it seems to come from DeviantArt. I tried to reach out to the guy and find out what the deal was with this game, and if he knew or if this was his copy or what's going on. I found out nothing. So who knows where this came from. I would love it if Wising actually was responsible for stealing some DeviantArt fan art of their game. That would just be incredible. Okay, so guys, it's time to get a little bit sad. first of all, I'd just like to thank some kindly people, you know who you are, for giving me some suggestions for dealing with these problems. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So for starters, the slightly good things. Here's the Final Fantasy IV 3-parter. These two work pretty much perfectly. This game's actually very good. I can't wait to talk about it. There's some weird stuff going on with it, like the controller, when you're in menus, it'll like flicker around, which is unfortunate. A third game at the moment doesn't work at all, which is disappointing. I don't know why it doesn't work, it just isn't. I'll come back to that when towards the end a little bit. Here's the sad part. So, Glitter Jugend basically gave me some suggestions related to this. My Final Fantasy VII cart, it doesn't work properly. You go so far into it, and like only a few minutes, and then it just crashes. It crashes usually in the same exact way, and there doesn't seem to be anything I can do about it. So he suggested, why don't you check to see if the batteries are loose or what have you. And he told me how to open them up, which is really greatly appreciated. I opened the cartridges up. Sure enough, the batteries were loose. I refixed them and everything. Even tried them without the batteries. They booted up, but the games just, they aren't seeming to work. So I'm going to try a little bit harder. I've got some other solutions, but right now Final Fantasy VII is actually looking like we're going to have to find another solution. And we'll check into that. Same thing with Final Fantasy IV. This one won't even let me get into battle. I've at least played Final Fantasy VII a little bit, been pretty impressed by it. Final Fantasy IV is just not working whatsoever. Another pretty big disappointment on that front. Same problem with the battery. This is apparently an issue with Shenzhen Nanjing games during shipping. The way that the batteries are held in the cartridge, they come loose. So that could have maybe caused a short circuit and ruined it. I don't entirely know. I'm going to work hard to try and get these in reviewable condition. Chrono Trigger, right? I'm betting you all know what I'm going to say. Well, you're wrong, because actually this one works, believe it or not. Albeit a little bit of trickery had to occur. So this cartridge is complete garbage. It was totally broken. There were like shards of plastic everywhere, and it fell apart. So yeah. So basically, I really wanted to make sure, I really wanted to review this one. This was such a big game. What I've decided to do, which, I mean, eventually I'd like to have a better solution, but for Chrono Trigger, sorry, okay, 1 second, I'll just put that there for now. Some of the plastic shards from the cartridge got sort of jammed in there weird. Unfortunate. Anyway, I've moved the PCB into my extra Fenyan DAO cartridge, and it works perfectly. So we will be able to take a look at this one, hopefully. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. I'm really excited about that. So there is one sort of positive to come out of this. It's just sort of ironic that it was the cartridge that we thought was going to work the least. The actual... I don't know if I should try and open this up on camera. Yeah, I won't worry about it. But this one had like the battery glued down, and it looked really weird, and I thought for sure it wasn't going to work because the PCB just looked like it got messed with so much, but nope. We'll be able to look at Chrono Trigger at the very least, even if the cartridge itself was in pretty rough condition. And like I said, I will try my best to figure out the problem with Final Fantasy Part 3, Final Fantasy IV Part 3, Final Fantasy IV, and FF7, because that one, like I said in that video, is a huge game and very important. So, that all out of the way, I'd just like to talk about some things coming up. So this is Part 2. Part 3 of my bootleg game blowout bash thing is going to be a look at another possible solution that I have. I'm not too confident about this working, because I've heard that it shouldn't really have any effect, but I have got a Famicom coming that we are going to test these games in and see if there's a compatibility problem going on. If maybe playing these games in a Famicom will solve some of the issues that I'm running into. Also, I have a retro USB AVS, which I got a while ago, but it was broken, so I'm getting it fixed. And that's sort of an interesting hardware clone thing that we'll talk about later. But we're also going to do a compatibility test with that. So that'll be parts 3 and 4. And aside from that, we have, of course, as promised, Dreamworld Pogi. Here it is. This is an autographed copy, actually, which is kind of cool. I can't wait to talk about this game. This is a really, really good game. And so we will be looking at that shortly after everything dies down a little bit, because there's a lot of craziness going on right now. I don't want to miss anything. Aside from that, I'd just like to hear everything you guys think in the comment section below. Do you have any more unique suggestions for trying to fix some of these games that don't seem to be working? Any other thoughts about videos in the future? All that stuff is appreciated. And just a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. We are just growing at an amazing rate. I am completely flabbergasted, and I thank all of you so very much. See you guys next time.